Beyond the Gates spoilers tease that Jacob's belief that Martin Richardson might still be alive sends a ripple effect through every interaction, every decision, every shadow of suspicion. He stops sleeping, consumed by the implications. If Martin is alive, then every lie told by Elon, every cryptic warning from Vernon, has an even darker undercurrent. He begins tailing his father, observing his movements with precision, hoping for a slip-up, a meeting, anything. At the same time, Vernon is spiraling. He's summoned to an official hearing with the DA, but his nerves are shot. He calls Smitty, asking to meet, but Smitty refuses. Vernon then turns to the one person he thinks he can intimidate: Randy Parker. Vernon confronts him behind a gas station, asking what he told Vanessa if she's working with the DA. Randy, visibly shaken, swears he hasn't said a word. Vernon backs off, but not without warning. If she drags you in, she'll bury us all. Joey Armstrong watches the tightening circle around him with a kind of cold interest. He knows the chaos is closing in, and still, he doesn't flinch. Instead, he prepares. He moves money, reassigns lower-level operatives, and most importantly keeps Vanessa close. She's playing her hand well, but Joey sees the shape of her ambition. She wants him gone, but she wants him discredited, broken. She doesn't just want to inherit his empire, she wants to earn it through his downfall. What Vanessa doesn't know is that Joey has been collecting his own leverage. Her threats to Randy weren't as private as she believed. Joey has surveillance footage, audio, enough to flip Randy if necessary. He's just waiting for her to make a move. Meanwhile, Vanessa isn't only focusing on Joey. She's made contact with Ashley Morgan. She offers sympathy, a shoulder, and a surprising confession. She knew about Andre's double life before the incident at Uptown. She claims she was trying to protect Ashley. But Vanessa's motives are never so pure. She wants Ashley as an ally, someone well-connected, someone hurt by the same man Vanessa believes is tangled in Joey's operation. Ashley, still reeling from the betrayal, doesn't trust Vanessa, but doesn't push her away either. She begins her own quiet investigation into Andre's finances, uncovering inconsistencies, offshore accounts, and unexplained transactions that suggest deeper involvement in illicit activity. When she shares her findings with Nicole Richardson, the picture begins to form. Andre might be more than just a Liari, might be laundering money for Joey. Nicole confronts Andre, demanding the truth. Andre, cornered, admits to some financial missteps, but denies working with Joey. He insists someone is setting him up. Nicole doesn't believe him. She tells Dani, who demands a confrontation of her own. This time, Andre can't talk his way out. Dani threatens to go to the authorities. Andre's charm finally falters, and fear creeps into his voice. Andre's betrayal doesn't ignite immediate fury in Dani, not in public. At the Uptown Bistro, where Andre and Ashley share their first romantic dinner, Dani watches from afar, seated across the room but unnoticed. There is no scene, no slap, no shouting. Just a long, heavy silence. Dani holds her breath, clenching the edge of her glass as Andre laughs with Ashley, completely at ease. Later that night, Dani opens up to her mother Anita and sister Nicole about what she witnessed. She describes the surreal moment, the sting of betrayal without confrontation. Anita, surprisingly, is relieved. She has never trusted Andre and expresses quiet satisfaction that Dani finally sees his true colors. She even expresses some fondness for Ashley, calling her a better fit. Dani, however, hears none of it. Nicole's reaction is different. She listens without judgment, acknowledging Dani's pain. Nicole has watched her sister carry heartbreak after heartbreak, from Bill Hamilton's abrupt departure for Haley to now Andre's duplicity. She doesn't offer false comfort. She just sits with her sister in silence, knowing that's what Dani needs most. Vernon, overhearing the conversation from the hallway, adds another layer to Dani's confusion. If even her father knew about the relationship between Andre and Ashley, what was the point of Andre pretending their connection meant something? Dani recalls moments private, tender, vulnerable where Andre insisted he wanted to go public, where he said Dani was more than just a secret. And yet she had refused. She wasn't ready, she said. She didn't want their fragile relationship under public scrutiny. Now she wonders if that gave him the license to pursue someone else. She meets Andre in private a few days later. He tries to justify it, saying they were never exclusive, never official. Dani listens quietly, her face blank, until she finally speaks. She tells him that she had already been fragile, already bruised by Bill, and that when he pushed her to go public, she hesitated not out of shame but out of fear. She was waiting to feel secure, to feel certain. His response? A shrug and a cold apology. It confirms everything. Still, Dani doesn't retaliate. She internalizes it as she always has. But Nicole sees the shift. Dani becomes quieter, sharper in her words, more withdrawn in her routines. Anita brushes it off as a phase, but Nicole knows her sister is collecting the hurt, storing it and preparing. For what, she can't say. Meanwhile, back in the background of this emotional chaos, Jacob pushes forward with the theory that Martin might still be alive. He breaks into Vernon's cabin outside town, convinced there's something hidden. What he finds is a locked chest beneath the floorboards, filled with photographs, letters, and a journal, Martin's journal. The latest entry is dated only 6 months ago. The writing is erratic but lucid. Martin describes being kept hidden, drugged, and occasionally moved. He names no captors directly, but refers to the man with the glass ring and the house where no mirrors exist. Jacob doesn't recognize the references, but he's convinced this is real. He shares the contents with Smitty, who believes it points to a long-abandoned estate just outside county lines owned, oddly enough, by a shell company tied to Joey. Jacob is ready to move on it, but he's not the only one following the trail. Vanessa has been tailing Smitty and intercepts their plan. She decides to get there first, taking Randy with her. She tells him that if they find Martin alive, she can use it to destroy Joey and Randy can finally walk free. But Randy knows better. He knows Vanessa will use him as bait, then dispose of him. Still, they go. What they find at the estate is chilling. The house is stripped bare, but in the basement is a padded room. Chains, old bloodstains, claw marks on the walls. No sign of Martin, but undeniable proof someone had been kept there. Vanessa documents everything. She uploads footage to a hidden cloud drive, ready to unleash it if Joey makes a move. She doesn't tell Randy that she also placed his fingerprints all over the scene. Jacob's search grows colder with every passing day, but his resolve only sharpens. As he follows the paper trail left behind in Martin's journal, he begins to uncover evidence that suggests Martin's captivity was not just a personal vendetta or isolated incident, it was part of a system. A rotation of black sites, makeshift cells, and coerced silence, all connected by a financial current that keeps looping back to Elon Hawthorne and, more subtly, to Vernon Dupree. Vernon, now haunted by what he knows and what he's done, makes a private confession to Nicole. He doesn't tell her everything, just enough. Enough for her to piece together that his role in Martin's disappearance wasn't passive. Vernon let something happen. He allowed silence to win, and now he watches that guilt eat away at his family. Nicole, for once, doesn't lash out. She takes the information, files it away in her mind, and quietly begins reaching out to an old contact at the local paper. If the system failed them, the truth would come from outside it. Dani, meanwhile, has shifted her focus. With her pain calcified into determination, she begins shadowing Vanessa. She wants to know what role Vanessa is really playing in all this. She notices patterns. Vanessa meets with people who are supposedly disconnected, but they all share one thing in common: past ties to Joey Armstrong. Dani catches her slipping into an old electronics shop late at night and leaving with a sealed envelope. She follows her to an unlisted address registered to a company called Everguard Security. What exactly is Vanessa building? Randy, realizing his situation is untenable, tries to disappear. He packs light, cash only, but he doesn't get far. Vanessa intercepts him in a parking garage. She gives him one choice: follow through on what they started or be the next scapegoat. She now has evidence that he helped clean up the padded room. His fingerprints are on the chains, his image caught on a traffic cam near the site. Vanessa has built her trap and set herself up as the only way out. Randy, exhausted and cornered, agrees, but he's done being silent. Ashley continues to dig into Andre's shell companies. She finds a link between one of his investments and a transfer made the same week Martin disappeared. She confronts Andre once more, this time recording the conversation. Andre cracks. He admits he didn't know what the money was for, but yes, he moved it on behalf of someone who insisted it was a security retainer. Ashley shares the recording with Nicole, who immediately recognizes the name of the front company as one Vernon mentioned in his half-confession. Nicole takes this to the journalist she contacted. They begin assembling a piece that traces the power structure behind Martin's disappearance: Joey as the puppet master, Elon as the enabler, Vernon as the witness-turned-coward, and Andre as the unknowing accessory. Vanessa's role is still unclear, but the journalist is intrigued. There's something off about her movements, too orchestrated, too clean. Back at the estate, a new lead emerges. Smitty, analyzing old surveillance logs and power grid activity, discovers that the house had been drawing power even after it was supposedly abandoned. He cross-references the logs with drone footage from a local environmental group. In one frame, a figure. Gaunt, bearded, pacing. It could be Martin. Jacob returns to the site alone, this time with backup from a contact in law enforcement. They breach a secondary cellar hidden beneath the padded room. Inside, they find a journal. It's Martin's handwriting again. The latest entry is recent, a week old. He's alive. He's nearby. He's watching. Back in town, Joey resurfaces through encrypted video broadcast to a select few: Vanessa, Jacob, and Nicole. In it, Joey doesn't deny anything. Instead, he spins the narrative. He paints himself as the necessary evil, the cleaner of a corrupt system, a man who did what the police wouldn't. He warns them, bring this into the light and you'll burn everything down, including yourselves. Vanessa is the first to respond. She releases every document, every video, every thread she has gathered. To the press. To the authorities. To the public. It becomes a media storm. And then, finally, Martin Richardson walks out of the shadows. Thin, older, but alive. He appears outside the courthouse steps with Jacob at his side, escorted by agents who had been working undercover since the earliest days of the renewed investigation. His reemergence shatters what remains of Joey's cover. Vernon is arrested. Elon, cornered in a remote airport hangar, is taken into custody without incident. Randy turns state's witness. Andre is brought in for questioning, and while he may not serve time, his reputation is ruined. Vanessa vanishes again, this time erasing all traces. Dani and Nicole sit side by side at the trial. Dani watches Andre avoid her gaze while Nicole reads her statement aloud. Ashley joins them after the verdict, the three women sharing a rare moment of silent solidarity. When the dust settles, Martin returns to a life he never thought he'd reclaim. Jacob helps him adjust, but Martin is different now. He rarely sleeps. He speaks in codes and metaphors. But he's here. And that, for now, is enough. There are still questions. Still ghosts. But for the first time in years, the gates aren't just symbols of something lost. They reopen, and what was buried is finally being seen. Weeks pass. With Joey still missing and Vanessa presumed dead, the town clings to an uneasy quiet. But silence doesn't mean peace. Nicole continues working with the journalist, now focusing on the broader network uncovered during the investigation. More names appear. More dots connect. Martin's journal, now part of a federal probe, leads to files referencing other victims, some whose families never knew they were missing. Dani returns to the Uptown Bistro, this time alone. She orders the same drink she had the night she saw Andre with Ashley. But this time, she doesn't sit in shadow. She sits at the center table. She belongs to the light now. Andre walks in briefly, sees her, and hesitates. She stares back without emotion. There's no pain left, only history. Ashley, shaken but resolute, opens a legal consultancy firm to support victims of financial abuse and coercion. She names it Phoenix Counsel. Nicole agrees to join her on the board. Dani volunteers pro bono to help clients understand the emotional layers of betrayal. Three women, once broken by the same storm, now rebuilding from the wreckage. Randy enters witness protection. In his final debrief, he confesses that Joey had spoken about a legacy plan. If he ever went down, others would rise in his place. Investigators follow that thread, leading to dormant offshore accounts suddenly activated. Jacob receives an encrypted message from an unknown sender. It's a single sentence: "The gates never closed." Attached is a low-resolution photo Joey in a crowd, somewhere in Europe, smiling. Martin reads the message and nods. He's still playing the long game, he murmurs. But now we're ready. The story doesn't end. It evolves. Because some gates don't close. They open wider. And beyond them there's always more.